I want to find out how much pharmaceutical companies are making for prescriptions, especially for mental illnesses. I want to know exactly how much profit they're making. And my initial impression was this is going to be a very easy exercise. I could just go online and type profit or revenue margins as the industry average. Mental illness is quite a common, sort of relatively more easily acceptable, and people are more open to share that they are mentally ill. But targeted individuals know that there's another part of this story. There is some technology somewhere that can affect the brain functioning. It can change the mood, can put thoughts into your head, inject voices, and there's also mind reading. So most victims of gang stalking know that there is a very big chance some aspects of mental illness might be outright fraud. People are not really sick. There's just some advanced technology spamming them with frequency energy weapons. So if somebody wanted to sell a medication in a forced way, so let's say a professional or government approved large industrial corporation drug dealer, mental illness is probably the easiest racket to fraudulently control. Just simply use whatever device you have, a device that the victim or the target can't block this thing. Just distribute frequencies into the open air, and almost everyone is gonna be affected by this thing. They don't even have to be targeted. There's no microchipping needed. No gang stalking is needed. Of course, this whole topic about remotely controlling people and beaming frequencies and having that whole 5G tower story, that's still not mainstream. That's a conspiracy. But for my own interest, I just really wanted to research how much are these pharmaceuticals making from mental illness. Just a bit of a disclaimer. If you are already seeing a professional and you're already taking some medication, the intent of this video is not to make you stop. So please continue consulting with a professional. Okay, so my research, this was not really an extensive research, and some of these figures are really from just a quick internet search and also using AI such as ChatGPT and Google Gemini. So it's not extensive. And also, I'm not an expert. I'm not very knowledgeable in this field. I'm not going to be able to put the numbers that are quickly popping up on the search results in the right context. It turns out that data around mental illness and the profits that are being made is actually very, very difficult to find. This came as a big surprise to me. And also AI, ChatGPT is playing along. I think AI has been instructed to be relatively vague. So my other source has been Psych Central, and their data is for the year 2020. I've provided the link as shown here in one of their blogs from 2020, top 25 psychiatric medications for 2020. Okay, so the first illness is going to be depression. Like I've said now, I couldn't get any straightforward answer as to how much profit is being made. And the only thing I could find is that the market value for all antidepressants is around 13.4 billion globally. So this is for the year 2021, data from Google Gemini. And in my own estimate guess, just looking at all other quick headlines, I think the entire market valuation would be about 17 billion by the year 2025. Now, using that Psych Central blog, how much were consumers actually spending in the year 2020 for antidepressants? Just the depression alone, they spent 1.4 billion. And this would have been about 127 million prescriptions. And then depression with bipolar disorder, 2.2 billion. Depression with anxiety, 2.5 billion. And in total, it's about $6 billion in the year 2020 that consumers paid for depression prescriptions. Next up, attention deficit disorder. It's the biggest spend for the year 2020, with about $10 billion of what the consumer would have paid for prescriptions. And then just a little interesting note that I found from CNN. They have an article which claims that in between April 2020 and March 2022, attention deficit disorder medications jumped 32%. 32% jump in just during the pandemic. And then obviously some controversies with ADHD medications. This information I got from Google Gemini. Overdiagnosis and overprescription. And they saying that this particular mental illness is overdiagnosed, particularly in children, and that medication is often just prescribed and it's not necessary for it. And then another point is that there's long-term effects, and where it's not really unknown what it's doing to the brain development of children. And then the other little quick one, controversy, is just that there's too much focus on medication, and the focus should maybe also go to other non-pharma interventions like behavioral therapy and lifestyle changes. Now, moving on to bipolar. For bipolar is about 900 million in the year 2020. And then what surprised me is that schizophrenia was only about 200 million. And medication for bipolar and schizophrenia is lumped as an antipsychotic drug. And this market is worth roughly 18 billion in the year 2023. This also includes treatments for Alzheimer's. So this little research of mine just gave me basic information, and I was honestly very surprised that I couldn't find values for the average profits. Even as an industry average, it didn't have to be tied to any company or tied to a specific prescription. And I guess that Big Pharma has to protect their profits. They don't want other people making home remedies or changing their lifestyle and then drastically reducing the dependency on medication.